You have probably memorized that in is for months and at is for hours. But memorizing these rules as a list of independent facts makes them difficult to apply consistently. Without a clear reason for the choice, you are forced to guess which category a specific word falls into. English operates on a specific logic. It maps abstract time onto physical, spatial dimensions. When we use these prepositions, we are describing a position in time using the same cognitive tools we use to describe a house or a city. To understand temporal grammar, you have to stop viewing time as a floating concept and start viewing it as a physical location. Consider the geometry of the word in. In a spatial sense, in describes being inside a volume. As this cube shows, in defines a container of space. It establishes a boundary, even if the exact point inside isn't specified. We apply this logic to the calendar. When we say in December, we treat that month as a 31-day container. You are located somewhere inside that block of time, but your exact coordinate, the specific day or hour, remains undefined. The preposition in defines the outer limits of the time period while leaving the internal position open. The preposition at functions as the opposite of a volume. In spatial terms, at denotes a specific point or a coordinate. It represents a precise marker rather than a box with an interior. You can see the difference in scale when you compare being in the city, a large volume, to being at the front door, a specific location. This lack of volume is exactly what we mean when we say at 7 o'clock. We aren't describing a window of time, but a specific marker on the clock. While in creates a search area, at locks down a dimensionless point on the timeline. Our brains process locations by narrowing down the area where something can be found. If you are in the house, the exterior walls define the search area, even if we don't know the exact room. We use this same logic for a vacation in December. The start and end of the month act as the boundary. The preposition is mathematically defining the edges of the search area, rather than pointing to a final, specific destination. To use these words correctly, you have to determine the boundary of the time block you are describing. It is important to distinguish between the duration of an event, how long it lasts, and its position, where it sits on the timeline. English uses a hierarchy of precision, from large containers down to narrow points. Macro containers like centuries and years cover such large areas they require in. As the scale moves down through decades and months, the area shrinks but remains a volume. The threshold occurs when the time period shrinks down to a specific hour or a moment. At this scale, the mind stops seeing a volume and begins to see a precise point on the line. This collapse is what forces the shift from in to at. The choice between these prepositions is determined by the size of the time period and how precisely you are marking its position. Many learners struggle with these prepositions because they try to translate directly from their native language. If you look for a single word that means time, you'll miss the underlying structure of English. Some languages treat time as a constant, but English requires you to account for the physical size of the time period before choosing a word. You have to move past the dictionary and start looking at the boundaries of the time block. Mastering this requires you to change how you visualize time, moving away from simple translation and towards spatial mapping. Instead of memorizing a list, start visualizing the size of the time block you are talking about. Ask yourself one question. Is this a volume or is it a point? If it's a volume, use in. If it's a point, use at. This logic works every time. Stop memorizing lists and start mapping your language. Subscribe to RadiantSkills for more